Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing good. I'm a little late seeing The Purge, so I thought I'd just do like a spoiler review and just give you my thoughts on the whole thing. Because the more I think about the movie, it's kind of bugging me. I kind of saw it late because earlier in the week I was trying to get in that stupid World War Z screening that I didn't get into, so messed up the programming on the channel for a minute. But let's get into the movie. The Purge, directed by a guy I don't even know really who he is. He only directed one of the movie before, starring Ethan Hawke and Lena Headey. And I like Ethan Hawke and I like Lena Headey. I really like Lena Headey. I thought she was a really great Sarah Connor. So the movie, the premise is basically that once a year, 12 hours in America, it's a little bit in the future, it's 2020, I think. They do this thing called the Purge, and like everything's legal. You can murder your enemies, and apparently people are killing the homeless and all this stuff. And Ethan Hawke is a family man. He has two teenagers, and basically it's what happens to him in this universe on this night of the Purge. And his kid, if you've seen the trailer, winds up opening the security gates that they have and letting this guy that's being hunted by these people in. And then, of course, they want to terrorize Ethan Hawke. So the first thing about the movie is the concept is really cool. The idea of the Purge is a really cool idea at the beginning. But the more you think about this universe they've set up with this Purge, everything's perfect. Once a year they do this. There's like 1% unemployment, hardly any crime. Once a year they do this, everybody goes buck wild. And then, supposedly everything goes back to normal. But what happens? I was thinking, what happens to the jails? There's probably some still jails. There's what happens to the hospitals? What happens to the mental hospitals? I mean, do they just suspend all emergency services and nothing happens? Apparently so, but they don't show. They have such a focused thing in this movie, and they kind of try to get away with it both ways. When he's driving home, you see him talking to his neighbors, and you just know this is where the spoilers are coming. You just know his neighbors are going to be one of the people at the end involved in, he's going to be fighting with them because everybody's all happy and cheery. Well, sort of. They don't even do that. Lena Headey winds up arguing with this lady kind of before, and you just know it's so predictable what's going to happen. And then so once they have the Purge, that's probably the best part. Up to that part, they have this emergency broadcasting. This is not a drill. Emergency suspended, and they explain kind of you can't kill like a certain level of government official, which I thought was kind of cool. They say class 4 weapons and below are legal, whatever. I don't remember if they said like fire and all that stuff's legal, because why aren't people attacking like Walmarts and just stealing shit? They didn't show that either. So if you think about that, it's like, well, how come people aren't going to the mall and just looting? How come they didn't show any of that? They just imply that poor people get it because they can't protect themselves. Ethan Hawke and his rich little buddies, they're fine because they got these massive security systems. So this kid is against it. Ethan Hawke's kid's against the whole idea of the Purge. He sees this guy getting stalked down the street. He opens the security system, and the kid, I mean, it's just so stupid. It's so predictable. Once they let the guy in the house, at first, Ethan Hawke's going to want to turn him over, but then, of course, at the end, the guy winds up saving Ethan Hawke's family. But yeah, I mean, it's just really cheesy. I mean, a good concept executed completely poorly. The more questions you ask, the worse it gets. You know, just I don't know. It went downhill as soon as they showed a guy sharpening his machete in his backyard. He lives in like a, probably like a $3 million home. At least at that time, in 2020, it's worth $3 million, and he's like sharpening a freaking machete in his backyard. He has a fucking garage. Why isn't he sharpening? He's just in his backyard, like sharpening this machete, and like, oh, he's getting ready for the Purge. And then they have this stupid subplot where the girl's boyfriend tries to murder Ethan Hawke, and that was obvious that was gonna happen too. And it was just like, oh god, why did they try to squeeze that in? That was just, it had no purpose really. I mean, it just. And then the children's behavior in this movie was ridiculous. I mean, yeah, be against the Purge, but don't put your whole family's life at jeopardy. I mean, become a politician and fix it. And speaking of politicians, they keep regarding to these new founders. How are these new founders elected into office? They say shortly after they were elected into office that they, instituted the Purge, and the whole government, begs you to comply with the Purge to get your aggressions out. And some of the best stuff is the stuff they show on the TV. I mean, they kind of show like a psychologist talking why it would work, and then they show people, they're kind of explaining what's going on without showing anything, of course, because it's like a micro budget movie. But I'm sure it's going to be sequel because, of course, it's #1 this weekend, and I don't know what they're going to do with the sequel. Maybe because I just watched VHS, I was thinking it would have been cool if they would have showed the Purge from like 3 or 4 different stories in one movie, maybe like 3 different stories in one night. to show like it affecting how it affects different people instead of just the upper middle class. Um, yeah, we're gonna get a sequel. My rating for this one is probably 2.5 out of 5, and I think I'm being kind of generous because the more you think about it, it's like, what else is going on in this world? I mean, and then everybody was they supposedly everything's like nicey nicey, but then at the same time it's so obvious everybody just hates each other, and I don't know. Like I said in a pitch meeting, this was like a great idea, and it's a great marketing. The way they market it's awesome. It's, oh, everything's fucked up now, so let's market this movie, and people will be like, oh, maybe the purge will work. Let's go check it out at least, and then it just failure to execute properly. Whatever. I'm out of here. This is done. I'm already rambling 6 minutes. Okay, guys, see you soon. Bye.